Good afternoon. My name is Destiny Burns, AVP of Community Relations at ESD and Project Director for the New York Empowerment Zone Corporation, or NYEZC. Before we commence, I will conduct a roll call to confirm a quorum and then ensure that all presenters are on the line. First, Janae Kaikai, designee of Deputy Mayor Vicky Bean, the chair of the NYEZC. Janae, please confirm you're here.
Acknowledge, Janae.
Janae, are you still on the line? Okay, I'll move
might be on mute. Sorry, can you guys hear me?
We hear you now. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, it's my poor connection.
I'll move on.
Continue.
Thank you. I'll move on to Holly Light, EVP of Real Estate Development at ESD and Vice Chair of the NYEZC.
I'm here.
Holly, please confirm for the record. Blair Duncan. Thank you. Blair Duncan, President and CEO of Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone, Director. Please confirm.
Here.
And Luis Miranda, Designee of Congressman Adriano Espaillat, Director.
Here.
For the record, we've confirmed the quorum. And as for other speakers, Verdery Roosevelt of UMass.
Present.
Blair Smith of UMass.
Present.
Jafar Muhammad of UMass.
Present.
Marion Phillips of ESD.
Present.
Borja Ocampo of ESD.
Present.
And Richard Dorado of ESD.
Here.
Thank you all. I will now turn the meeting over to Janae Kaikai, our chair designee for today.
All right, thank you, Destiny. And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janae Kaikai, Policy Advisor for Economic Development to Deputy Mayor Bean. I'm a designee for NYEZ Chairwoman, designee for NYEZ Chairwoman, Deputy Mayor Bean. I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the New York Empowerment Zone Corporation for today, Friday, May 15th, 2020. I'll ask that everyone please mute their phone until you're ready to speak. And for the record, I will ask that anyone wishing to speak, please be sure to state your name before you begin speaking. I'd like to note for the record that due to public health concerns and as authorized by an executive order of the governor, this meeting will be conducted by teleconference. I will also note for the record that the public has been given the opportunity to comment on the agenda items by submitting their written comments at or before 12 p.m. today to nyez@esd.ny.gov. I'd like to further note for the record that no comments were received from the public concerning today's agenda items. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I'd like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the agenda items. If so, I would ask you to please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We will then be sure that you may recuse yourselves from any discussion or vote regarding such items. Okay, hearing none, I'd like to call upon Verdery Roosevelt to present the first item on today's agenda and request to ratify an initiative approved by the directors of the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone, the Cultural Investment Fund, Coronavirus Aid Fund. Verdery, and please excuse if I'm mispronouncing your name, please begin when you're ready.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. This is Verdery Roosevelt. I am the Senior Vice President for Cultural Investments at the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone. This is a request to ratify the UMEZ Cultural Aid Fund, a one-year initiative in the amount of $500,000 to provide financial assistance to cultural organizations affected by the COVID-19 pandemic to support continued core operations. The funds will be drawn from loan repayments. The recipients of this fund will be the 17 arts organizations that have previously received grants from UMES and meet our current eligibility guidelines, but who do not presently have a grant with us. The proposed amount represents just over 1% of the combined operating budgets of these organizations, but will allow for a meaningful grant to each. Grants will range from $10,000 to $50,000, with an average grant size of between $25,000 and $30,000. The grant term is March 15, 2020 through April 30, 2021, with all expenses to be completed by December 31, 2020. UMES staff will administrate the program. Implementation has been designed to minimize the time and effort required to complete the application and, through the reporting process, gain more detailed information on the impact of the pandemic. Funds may be used to support core operations such as digital technology and communication, rent, utilities, and personnel. However, if the grantee has received support for personnel through a program such as the Payroll Protection Program, UMES funds cannot be used to duplicate those payments. We do not anticipate the creation of new jobs. Rather, these funds will more likely be used to retain jobs. We have distributed the invitation to apply via email to the 17 prospective grantees, which was done on May 5th. We encourage them to speak to their assigned program officer for further information before submitting their request. One organization has already completed the application form, and 14 others have had productive conversations with the SIF staff. We anticipate presenting the completed applications and recommendations to a team of UMES senior staff for review during Memorial Day week. At a time when the cultural industry has been devastated, this fund will provide a critical source of short-term support as these organizations navigate the initial impact of COVID-19 over the coming months. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I think it's a great thing. This is Luis Miranda. It's a great thing to do, particularly at this time, and how cultural organizations in the empowerment zone are suffering.
I'm sorry, who just, can you say your name, please, whoever just spoke?
I did. Luis Miranda, I said at the beginning as you requested.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, are there any additional questions or comments, rather, from the directors with regard to the item? I'd like to remind everyone gently again to please state your name before speaking.
So this is Blair Duncan from the president of the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone, and I am very supportive that we were able to pull this program together very quickly to be responsive to what we were hearing in the community, and I am happy that we were able to move this forward in such a pace and now have the ratification by the NYEZ to enable us to really begin to do the outreach that we need to help the cultural organizations in Upper Manhattan.
Okay, thank you, Blair. Are there any other comments or questions? All right, as noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to this item. I will now entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
This is Luis
Blair
Miranda.
Duncan.
Second, Luis Miranda.
Okay. Second, sorry, here, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Luis Miranda, aye.
Okay. Are there any opposed? All right. Thank you. The motion carries. I will now call upon Blair Smith to present the next agenda item for consideration, a request to approve a loan for the National Urban League project. Blair, please kick us off when you're ready.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Blair Smith, and I am the Chief Investment Officer for the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone Development Corporation. Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone seeks your approval for a $10 million loan secured by a subordinate mortgage to finance the construction of the new National Urban League headquarters, a 205-foot tall, 17-story, 414,338 square foot affordable housing, retail, cultural, and residential center to be located at 121 West 125th Street. The $240.7 million project is led by experienced developers, L&M Partners, and BRP companies, along with Taconic Investment Partners and the National Urban League itself. For legal purposes, this development entity will be split into 4 separate condo units: the National Urban League headquarters, office, retail, and residential spaces, with various financing sources contributing to each specific use. The UMEZ loan will be collateralized by the retail and office space only, although the residential and National Urban League spaces will be part of the development as a whole. All collateral associated with these uses will not be used with the UMEZ loan. The office and retail space construction costs are estimated to be $99.8 million out of the total $240.7 million, and will be financed by a $10 million loan from UMEZ, a $66.8 million loan from Goldman Sachs, a $17.6 million equity contribution, and $2.3 million in deferred developer fees, with a $3.1 million contingency gap. Both Goldman Sachs and UMEZ loans will have a 48-month maturity with a 2 6-month extension options. The UMEZ loan will be subordinate to the Goldman Sachs construction loan. The National Urban League headquarters tower will create significant benefits for Upper Manhattan, including approximately 152,385 square feet of residential multifamily space, 106,995 square feet of retail space, 83,593 square feet devoted to the National Urban League headquarters, and 71,365 square feet of Class A commercial office space. In addition, the Empire State Development estimates that this initiative will create over 760 direct construction jobs, 429 indirect construction jobs, 160 direct permanent jobs, and 59 indirect permanent jobs, and 171 affordable housing units. The UMEZ staff requests your approval, subject to the borrower securing 100% of the project financing sources. UMEZ staff will entertain any questions you have at this time.
Hi, this is Holly Light. I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank you all for being part of this important project. My team has been working on this project, as have others at ESD, for years, and it is really, really exciting to see that this is going to close in July, and we'll see construction start thereafter, even in today's environment. I think it'll be a really exciting, important addition to 125th Street.
This is Blair Duncan. UMass is very pleased to be a part of this project. We think that for a number of years we've all looked forward to the right development team coming together, and I am just really thrilled that in this environment we're still have the commitment of all the organizations to really move this forward, and I think that it's going to be a positive contribution, and would agree that we're all very thrilled and excited about this project.
Okay. Just want to echo everyone's sentiments about just what a great project this is and how proud of yourselves you should be. I think it's really exciting. And yeah, the Deputy Mayor offers also her full support and shares and is also excited. Are there any other questions or comments from the directors with regard to this item? All right, as noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to this item. I will now entertain a motion for approval. I'd like to remind you to please state your names before speaking.
It's Holly Light, so moved.
Luis
Second?
Miranda, second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Luis Miranda, aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? All right, thank you. The motion carries. The final item will be presented by Jafar Mohammed. It is for information only and no vote will be required. Jafar, please begin when you are ready.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ghaffar Mohammed. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone Development Corporation. I'm here to recommend the reallocation of unused funds from the Workforce Development Portfolio to the Business Investment Portfolio. And this process is being undertaken to support the National Urban League Headquarters Business Investment Initiative. This reallocation represents funds that were never allocated to workforce projects. I would like to assure everyone that current workforce projects will not be adversely impacted by this reallocation, as those funds have already been allocated, and any future workforce development projects relating to, including the one related to the National Urban League project, will be funded by UMass's loan repayments fund, just like we do with the cultural investment funds right now. I will pause and ask if there's any question that I may attempt to answer.
Ghaffar, this is Blair Duncan speaking. I think you may have mentioned that the workforce development projects would be funded like the cultural investment fund projects through loan repayments. However, you may have mentioned that the National Urban League would also have been funded by loan repayments, but those will be funded in the normal one-third fashion from zone funds, city, federal, and state.
Yes, that is true. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for clarifying, Blair. Are there any comments from the directors? And thank you, Ghaffar.
You're welcome. Thanks.
No comment.
Okay. As noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regards to this item. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Holly Light, so moved.
So moved.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for your for your participation in today's meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye now.